So there you are. You have this whole group of murder hobos that just can't help but attack every single thing you put in front of them. And you also have an idea for a really cool big bad or some kind of big giant monster that you want to showcase its power. And you're scared that your players are just going to attack the thing, and then it's a TPK and everybody's crying, but you're not sure what to do with this. Well, we do. So let's talk about that.
Let's do it. This is one of those things that comes up every now and then, and it's when you have some sort of encounter that the players just can't win. They just can't. And you just need to find a way to signal to them, hey, you're in over your heads. I mean, this gets into a lot of things, right, Jake? This is all about like describing a scene, right?
Yeah, and you want to describe the scene because if you're giving your players accurate information, that gives them the right kind of player agency where they can sort of have at least an understanding or an expectation to how their choices may be handled. And you really never know what your players are going to do. Sometimes players know they're up against it, but they're going to choose to fight anyways. And that could be because player motivations are more in role playing and storytelling or whatever it is. You can't always predict it. So it also overlaps with encounter building because you really should at least honor that or at least have a way. I mean, sometimes the dice could do crazy things, right? Maybe the dice only rolls natural 20s for your players and they somehow do it. I know that's probably not going to happen, but all of these topics really are related. And I think a lot of dungeon masters do feel this way at some point. Why don't we just start at the beginning, Josh? I mean, before there's combat, there's stories to tell. How would you handle that?
I'm big into like headlining your encounters. And that doesn't even necessarily have to be because you need to show the players they're in over their heads. Maybe you just want to show them like a hint of what's to come. Show them a spider web before they find those giant spiders. Or recently in our Discord, we had a conversation about kind of some illithid things that were going on, and the players didn't know that they had these certain abilities. It's like, how would you tell them that they could eat your brain? Well, show them the skeleton of a creature that has just this weird hole in its skull, right? So
that's weird. You know, like the barbarian. This is weird.
So that's one of the easiest ways, right? Like, how do I tell my players these monsters are formidable? Well, you could show them some dead bodies, show them a horrible way that it was killed. The illithid's a great example of that, where there's a hole in their head from the insert Matt Mercer gif, toothy maw, you know?
Yes. I like that though, because it also gives players a chance to say like, what can I learn from this? So they might try a medicine check or investigation checks. And that's part of the fantasy for a lot of players too. So you're honoring that as well.
And that's combining the kind of the exploration pillar with the combat pillar, right? Like you're giving them something to explore and to engage with. Another way could be describing how the bad guys maybe wrecked a village, or maybe you saw them like from far off destroy another like super powerful monster. You know, maybe there's this dude in town who's like, he's the strongest, you know, like that's Gaston, you know, whatever.
I know. Yes.
I mean, it's happened multiple times in movies and video games and TV shows where like your master who trained you has to fight someone and they just get wrecked, right? That's headlining an encounter. That's saying like, hey, this is the person who trained you. You didn't even finish your training. You didn't even finish training with Obi-Wan. You think you could fight Vader? That's a little different, but it still shows the danger.
Yeah, and along those lines, in the way that some of these more powerful allies or targets may be overcome, you can specifically use spells or things that the group should know are over their pay grade. And not every group may understand that, but if you have like a wizard in the group and they just learned Fireball, but someone's just dropping Firestorm, these kinds of things are going to be a little more known, a little more obvious, I think. You cast Firestorm on one of us and one of those things, and I went, oh, that's level 7 spell. I don't know if we're ready for this, guys. I remember you said that, my eyes went, whoa.
I remember that. That was a good fight.
Yeah, it was. I don't think it's aired yet. Watch Ancient Relics and Hokey Religions. I think you'll like it.
I think it did.
Maybe it has.
I think it did. I think that was the last episode of the most recent season.
Only one way to find out.
There is only one way to find out. There's also options just mechanically, and this could happen. We've been talking mostly about like before combat actually begins. This could kind of be like before or during combat. You know, you could roll some sort of intelligence or really like any relevant skill check to just kind of assess the threat and see,
Yeah.
wait a second, you know, but like maybe you don't know if that's Firestorm or not, but you know that the spell looked super powerful. Maybe you're rolling like Arcana or whatever to be like, oh no, you have to be a very powerful caster to be able to do this, or
Yeah.
whatever makes sense in the situation.
And that can be player prompted or DM prompted. It could just be out of nowhere. You, as the DM, can say, so and so, make a this check. And you set the DC at like 5 or something crazy low or whatever. Like, oh no, you don't do anything. I guess that's another good quick aside. If you're not willing to accept the results of the dice you're rolling, there's a good chance maybe don't roll the dice or just tell them.
You are also totally free at any point. Say, pause. You are not ready for this threat.
Yeah,
You could do that. It's okay.
you
Some
can.
metagaming is okay. When it's protecting your players and your game, metagaming is okay.
I feel like you did this very well. I won't say in what adventure because of spoilers, but you should watch Ancient Relics and Hokey Religions. Oops. And I think you did, I think you had my character roll a check or even just something where you're like, I think your character would know that this is not a good idea, kind of a thing. And you honored our agency in that moment too. And I think that's really, really, really important in that. But yeah, telling them this is a bit much. It's just good DMing.
So what if the fight has already begun? You're in the thick of it.
Yeah.
You're beaten, you're bloodied. That's a 4E thing, right? Bloodied.
Yeah,
You,
technically. Yeah.
you're running out of spell slots and the fight's still going on. What kind of cues can you give the players in this instance?
There's some fun ones. I mean, if I were to ever be an actor, I think it would be fun to play the villain, and this is your chance to shine. He doesn't even look winded. He's taunting you, and ha ha ha, this you fools! I'm not even breaking a sweat. You could go over the top with it, and it could be funny. Your players may not be laughing as much, but really lean into oh yeah, your paladin just smited on a crit. You dealt 60 points of damage, and the guy is just like, I don't even think they're looking rough. I'm happy for you. Good job. But like, this is where you could really lean into like, okay, that was your best shot. And they're kind of, it's like Luke Skywalker getting shot by all those things from Kylo Ren. Like, yeah, we're good.
And this kind of goes into more about like describing a scene. I've definitely talked about this before, but like when you're describing combat and every time somebody shoots an arrow, it's like, oh, it's sticking out of your arm. It's sticking out of your chest. It's sticking, whatever. Oh, you have all these arrows popping out of you. A lot of the time when you're doing damage, it's going to be like you could have blocked it. It could have shattered against your armor or anything. If this is the type of encounter where your players probably can't win it, and they're not doing a whole lot of damage, even their crits, like you fire that arrow, it looks like it's on fire as it's going flying through, it makes like an explosion sound or whatever, and it doesn't even crack the dragon scale, but it deals 40 damage. It's like they're hearing the numbers. They're seeing, oh, I just dealt 40 damage to this thing.
Yeah.
And my arrow shattered upon impact.
Yeah, what's 40 when they got 360?
Yeah.
Right? That's good. And there's other ways mid combat. The message might not be sinking in, but you could do other things too. I mean, you could try and showcase that maybe there's reinforcements on the way in some way too. Whether you hear the stomping of troops walking on the stone or anything like that. Maybe you hear them call for reinforcements. There could be lots of ways.
Somebody's playing that snare drum.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate 3.
And if all else fails and your players ignore all of your warnings, multiple warnings, and suddenly you have a TPK on your hands, well, you still came to the right place because we have a video all about how to handle TPKs. A question for you: what is the most interesting or most terrifying way that you as a DM or you as a player have been notified of danger? Let us know in the comments.